Anyway,
What's the idea?
what about moderation?
Yeah.
Oh no, fucking hell. It was far better when we had the laptop last time. Very special. Was a very special guest.
Hello.
I haven't introduced you yet. So I've got my special guest with me to know that I'm Mr. Fluid in.
Hello. In Rio.
We are in Rio. And
Whiffy.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, beautiful place. Right now it's about 30 degrees outside. The sun is shining. We're 2 blocks away from one of the best beaches in Rio, if not the best, all things considered. There's forests to our right. There's waterfalls just 300 meters behind us. It's a beautiful city with beautiful people. Who are very, very social and very, very fun. It's an incredible culture. It's a great place. Overall, great place. There are obviously 2 sides to every coin, and no place is perfect, and Rio does have its downsides as well. But on the whole, I would say it's a well above average city to be in, and a well above average city to live in.
And what would you say to anyone who's thinking about coming to Rio? Any things that they need to consider before they get here? Any practical, logistical concerns? And also maybe people thinking, is it even safe to come to?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously varies by person. Is it safe enough to come to? Yes. You just have to be smart. I always say when people ask that, it's like going up onto a rooftop. You got a rooftop bar, a rooftop pool. Is it safe? Well, it's safe unless you're hanging over the edge or like swinging off the side. It's safe if you decide to do it safely. So if you're walking around in the day, you're not wearing a rollie on the wrist, walking down dark alleys at night, it's safe. But just like the ghettos in any city, if you go to the ghetto and you're, wearing the wrong things, throwing the wrong gang signs up, you can get in trouble, right? So you just have to play it safely as you can, and you'll be absolutely fine here. What are things to consider? The exact location where you live, right? I've had many people who say, oh yeah, no, it's fine, I'm staying in Leblon. And it's like, even that, Leblon is probably considered like the nicest or one of the nicest areas to live in. But even in Leblon, there's a mini favela, there's a mini community next to the shopping center. There's a sort of communal houses that were set up in the 70s or 80s to house a lot of people and try and integrate the favelas and the communities into the city. And then they forgot to fund it, or the government just didn't fund it, and it just basically turned into a regular favela. So that's in Leblon. So you want to pay attention to exactly where you're living in the region that you've decided to live. Money can be a problem. You want to make sure that honestly, one of my advice, bring 2 bank cards, because anything can happen. It's easy to lose shit when you move here. And your bank might cancel a card, there might be some sort of problem. So you want to make sure that you're just like well prepared in terms of having different things. If you've got Monzo, Revolut, Starling, they're all pretty good. But make sure that you've got 2 out of 3 of those, right? Or 2 cards that are pretty reliable transfer-wise. But not so much the legacy banks, Barclays, Santander, HSBC, they're a little more temperamental in my experience. Then after that, just make sure you bring sun cream or you'll end up burned.
Yeah, you'd be like a big red tomato, won't you?
Yeah, or a lobster.
And no one wants that. Yeah, if you look like a lobster, people try and like throw a net around you. We've seen it happen.
Yeah,
some of our best friends have fallen victim to the old snatch and grab.
Lobster dinner routine.
Oh, shocker.
It's a jungle out there.
R.I.P. Jonathan. But yeah, I mean, a question that I was getting, and you probably got it a lot of times as well, but to what extent has being a gringo help you with your dating success out here? Because I think there's a lot of guys who watch this thinking that if they're a gringo, they come here and they get instant results. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's not blowjobs as soon as you touch down. You're not going to get off the plane. It's not like that. If you are unattractive, and I don't mean that physically, I mean if you're an unattractive individual, if you don't have any sense of kind of purpose or discipline, you're not curating your physique and your lifestyle, you're not trying to work on yourself and gain a level of like social energy and charisma, and you're not a confident speaker, and you don't have some of the natural genetic gifts, you're going to find it extremely tough work out here, as much or if not more so as you would in the West. It's a culture that values beauty as a concept. Now, that doesn't just mean good-looking people, although they obviously do, like anywhere else, but it means that they value beauty in all areas. So beauty in the way, my prime as a man, I want to get out there and push things forward and travel the world and see new places and meet new people and network and meet women, then you're going to have a great time. You just got to have a growth mindset, and that will serve you very, very well over here.
That's interesting. Okay, so imagine I'm a guy listening to this,
Yeah.
and I'm completely unattractive. Like, I've got nothing going for me in my life right now. I'm 27 years old. I'm currently living in Scunthorpe on my own with my mum, let's say. Like, what would you say is the first thing that I should work on if I want to become a more compelling version of me? Like, what would be the first thing that you would recommend that I work on?
Well, first step, collection of thousands of steps, and each one of those steps is composed of thousands of other steps, right? In the same way that businesses, in the same way that your social life, it's steps within steps within steps. And the smallest thing you can do right now is the best and the only thing you can really do. So the first thing is, it's like, okay, decide that you actually want to change. You have to first decide and say, right, I am going to become this. I am going to start business. I am going to get in great shape. I'm deciding that I'm going to do it, and now it's just a matter of time. You make the decision, and then I would honestly say that something like the gym, I mean, we didn't create such a specific avatar there, but let's assume that this guy also isn't very physically active. He's not training, he doesn't do much exercise, doesn't get out of the house much. The first thing I would say is just get yourself to the gym, because the gym isn't just training. It's getting out of bed at the right time in the morning. It's eating right, because it's very difficult to eat wrong and train. And so it naturally guides the way that you eat. It's forcing yourself into social situations. You have to show up at reception, say hi to the receptionist. There's a personal trainer. You have to ask him when he's finished using the stuff. There's some people in your area. You have to ask if you can have a bit more space. You're going to see the same people. You have to nod and form some sort of a relationship. The gym is a way of addressing a lot of these things at the same time. Discipline, motivation, challenging yourself, getting in good shape, socializing. So I would say that would be the first thing I'd do. But I think traveling could be a massive catalyst, right? The way that when I first came to Rio and I was umming and erring about traveling back in 2017, before I'd really done a lot of the global travel stuff, I was umming and erring. At some point, it didn't fit with my identity to be procrastinating on something like this, so I just put out a video saying I'm going to Rio. Who's going to come on I'm doing a coaching thing over here. Who wants to do it? And I said, if one person signs up, then I go to Rio for 6 months. And then I got signed up, and then I had to come here for 6 months. So you just make a decision. You force your own hand, right? Put yourself in a position where you have to make that decision that you're finding so difficult to make.
So almost cultivating your own accountability through putting it out there to the public. Because, like, say if I wanted to learn a language, then if I put a Facebook post out and said, to all my nearest and dearest, I'm going to become fluent in Portuguese in a month, then you've got that sense of community accountability there, which I think is missing massively from men today. I think having the accountability, having a network in place of like-minded individuals, that can really help you push you forward. But, okay, something that I'm interested in then is, you're obviously doing very well for yourself at the moment. Life seems like it's in a good place for you. What would be the main area for you at the moment that you're working on the most to become better, to level yourself up more? Like, what area is it for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well, because for me, I'm always come down to wealth, health, and love, and I just think of life as simply as that. It's like, if you can rate your financial situation, your mental and physical health, and your romantic, dating, and familial connection, like romantic, social, and familial connections, if you can rate each of those an 8 out of 10, you're not going to rate the quality of your life below an 8 out of 10. Right? It's only when one of those is bringing the others down, so that you don't feel like your life is on course. So I feel like all three of those areas for me are pretty good now, and they're pretty like under control, let's say, which is what you can actually hope for in a lot of situations. Is like, if everything's under control, you're not experiencing pain, you're not in bad shape, you're not unhealthy, your relationship's all intact, your family's safe, like everything's good. That's a fucking blessing, because you're already in like the top 1 or 2% of people in the world, and there are people that, through no fault of their own, will literally never experience anything other than ongoing pain. Emotional pain, physical pain, injury, deaths in the family, severe poverty. So I kind of think of it like that. It's the Danish cure to misery is
Sorry, there's just a chainsaw outside. We're just getting rid of it. It's fine.
got the odd psychopath down the road. It's hopes, low expectations.
High hopes, low expectations.
So you go look to the future, you want what's best for you, but it's okay. You don't have any expectations of that. You're happy if you're just not in pain. If you're not in pain, you're blessed. If your family's alive and safe, you're blessed, right? So to think about it like that. But in terms of answering your question directly, what am I working on? It's basically like an amalgamation of all of those things. It's almost just like micromanaging. I want to like gain a little bit of size, muscle mass, just because I want to. Like I've been in the physique I am now for a while, and I want to just gain a little bit of muscle mass. With the dating and social life, I tend to do sort of what I call micro relationships. Okay. So I like travel a lot. So I'll meet a girl, like if I'm in a place for 3 months, I'll get to spend like a good 2 months with someone I really like, form a connection, but without necessarily that future sightedness. Just sort of being in the moment and having these like micro relationships rather than sleeping around a lot. It's been more my focus over the past couple of years. And in terms of wealth, it's pretty good as well. But it's just having a sort of automated way of passive income, essentially. Just the automated system that goes on whilst I sleep, rather than sort of seasonal working schedule. So I don't really have anything that's massively out of sync. It's basically just spinning plates, to use that terminology. It's like making sure that all my habits are in the right order in the morning, make sure that I'm getting out and talking to girls every week when I can, opportunity, a girl on the beach with her dog, just go up and say hi. It doesn't matter if you fuck it up. Doesn't matter if you say something stupid. Doesn't matter if you don't present yourself well. You know who you are as a person. You know who you are as a man. If you're doing all of the right things in your life and living well, you can forgive yourself. You don't judge yourself. When I was much younger, I would judge myself if I did it badly, and I would get all overexcited like I'm amazing if I did it well. Now I just don't have the same attachment to the way that I manifest in those situations, because I know if she doesn't like me, it's fine, because I know what I'm capable of, I know my trajectory, I know I'm good. And that is, a lot of people talk about that, but that is genuinely a really, really fucking satisfying place to be. And once you get there, it's not guaranteed that you're going to stay there, right? If I stop working, stop going out, train weekly in the gym, eat rubbish food, forget about my vision, stop working towards my goals, I'm going to start becoming attached to the way I manifest again. I'm going to start worrying that if she doesn't like me, maybe I'm not likable, because I'm not grounded anymore. I'm not sure of my footing. So basically, if you tackle all of those areas of your life consistently, day to day, you make progress and you do what you need to do as if God or nature is watching you and like making sure that you're on course. If you just show up every day doing what you know you need to do, then you don't get attached to outcome anymore. You don't worry if you're not sleeping with anyone. You know it will come when it's supposed to, and you actually don't want to sleep with just anyone. So it's like a really nice way to sort of manage your life and not go through these like massive emotional fluctuations.
Interesting. So you're deciding not to get carried away with either outcome. If it's going good, it's going good. If it's going shit, both feelings will pass.
100%. And both feelings will absorb your energy. Like you probably know, Chris, as much as anyone, that when you go out for cold approach, if you get rejected a few times, you start thinking, oh, it's not my day. What? Maybe I'm dressed wrong. Like, I'm just too tired. I'm not confident today. I'm out of state. I'm not in flow. Whatever these things, it's draining your energy. It's not the actual thing that happened. It's not the rejection that makes you feel bad. It's your perception that you layer on after the rejection. It's your internal monologue about why you were rejected and what it means about you as a person. That's the stuff that tires you out and puts you in a bad mood and puts you in this like impossible state. It's not the rejection at all. It's your perception of the rejection. You're not in control of the rejection, but you are in control of the story you tell yourself afterwards. But what people don't talk about is the same is true for the positive. It's not like if an interaction goes really well and you're like thinking about like, oh, I'm so happy, I'm going to message her. What if this girl's my girlfriend? I think we had a really good connection. Where am I going to take her? I hope she responds. That fucking drains you as well. Boyfriend, she might just want your money. Doesn't mean anything. See what happens. Keep going. Keep moving forward to the largest possible amount of women. Like that was just it. Like my screensaver was Hugh Hefner surrounded by the bunnies from the age of like 19 to 21. It was just it seemed like the most important thing. And as I got into it and I saw maybe that there are a lot of nuances that people don't consider, is the first one being, it's not just like learn how to say the right words and you get, it's that is just the biggest misconception, that like it's learning to say the right things or learning how to have good conversations. It's so much more than that. It's learning how to show up, right? It's learning how to manifest in that in that place when you need to. It's learning that as like your measure, like, wait a second, like everything's good. I've got like limitless opportunities. I'm healthy, I'm safe, I'm stable. Like that is a blessing. So I think my driving force now, with the understanding that I've gained, not I look at it, it's like, okay, so what keeps me on this path? What keeps me doing well? What keeps me with purpose and drive and overall like slow improvements is finding something bigger than myself to invest my time in. So it's like, instead of doing this so that I can learn to be really, really good with women, I actually think about it as bigger than me. What kind of legacy do I want to leave on the world? Because what else is important other than that? We're all going to die. We're all going to be forgotten within 3 generations. Maybe the biggest names in the world will be forgotten within 10 or 20 generations. Fame isn't the important thing. Money doesn't actually just make a positive impact and enjoy it and have a good impression on other people, a good impact on other people. So I basically just take that as the simplest way to live. Have a vision or a mission that is outside of yourself or bigger than yourself, i.e. it's not just you getting the house, the mansion, the car, the girls, but it is something that has a positive effect on other people. It's bigger than you, and then just strive towards that. So for me, my vision now and my mission now is, we're in a very strange time in history. Maybe every time is a strange time, but certainly gender dynamics are fucking weird in the Western world right now. The political landscape as it relates to like men and women is incredibly strange right now in large parts of the Western world, and I think it's something that we have to repair. So my mission now is to repair the relationship between men and women in whatever ways I can. So I try and guide my life along that line. Like, is this action or that action to me improving the relationship between men and women as groups, right? As the entirety of men and women. And I just am growing in each relevant area, then I'm extremely happy, because I recognize how unlikely that is to be in that position. So yeah, that I guess is my driving force. I don't think any man can feel truly like he's got purpose and meaning and really satisfied with his life unless he's honoring something outside himself. For some people that's religion and God. For some people that's a mission, electronic cars, taking man to the moon, taking over an empire, running the world with your empire, whatever it is, it has to be bigger than you for it to be a consistent source of inspiration and meaning.
Yeah, I've been playing around with AI over the past 5-6 days. I don't know if you've watched that video by Hormozy, the one that's like blowing up on AI at the moment. He like breaks it down into 5 sections, and one of the sections where he's saying that AI was gonna impact was on relationships. So essentially, these like robots being made to replace, basically become like sex dolls for guys. So how do you see, I don't know if you've thought about this at all, but how do you see the future of dating going with the inclusion of AI? Because this is just something that I've been thinking about the past few days. So I just wondered if you had thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have thought about it actually. I mean, there's a massive part of the like incel community that are basically, they're like, that is a person, you don't like her personality, you don't feel any sense of real connection, you are left feeling worse than you did before. You might repeat that action 100 times before you get to that conclusion, or you might repeat it 3 times before you get to that conclusion. But at some point, if you have any obstacles, improving yourself, doing what you know needs to be done by yourself, and then seeing, let's say, the sexual relationships, the bank account, the health and the physique. It's about putting in the work, earning those things, and then seeing them happen. That's what we get fulfillment from working towards a reward. If you want to make £1 million, someone's like, oh, fuck it, don't worry, here's £1 million. For a moment, you're going to be like, that's fucking amazing, thank you, I can do whatever I want. Almost certainly you're going to have lost it within a year or 2 years, and you're going to be way worse off than you were before. You would have spent it all on the wrong things, invested it stupidly, burnt through it, because you're not financially literate to know how to use that money, because you haven't gone through the process of earning it, right? And in the same you see these guys, young guys who get famous really quickly, end up, sleeping with loads of girls, kind of doing drugs, like being famous, living that life. They just break down, or they lose it all, or they kill themselves, or something happens because they haven't gone through the necessary lesson and education and challenges and gained that discipline to know how to handle what they've been given. Are certainly not going to improve you down to our perception. I don't think I would ever. People are going to move off into more kind of bucolic settings and like go back to the old style of life, try and start little communities, agriculture, farming their own food, because there's something deeply human about us being in the real world, in nature, working for ourselves, earning what we're doing, growing our own things, and something deeply like detaching and dehumanizing about like increasingly relying on fakeness, video games. I still love London, but I think much of the Western world we are just in a state of constant brainwash. So if I was a young 16-year-old, I would just take the lessons, the ancient lessons that have survived to this day, right? Because ideas come and go. Something new, political ideas that people have now, the amount of millions of political ideas that have been had in the past, they didn't work, they were abandoned, generations forgot that they didn't work and were abandoned, and so they forget that, and then they try and do them again, and they're still not going to work. Law is, but it's in the book Anti-Fragile somewhere, that says the way that you can roughly predict how long something's going to last, whether that's an ideology or a nation, an empire, a political ideology, is how it's lasted in the past. So if you take Christianity, it's lasted 2,023 years, right? So we can expect that Christianity will last another 2,023 years. That's our best guess. That's our best gauge. And so I would look back to the old wisdom that's lasted until now. Look at what the Stoics were talking about. Look at what the ancient Eastern religions, early Buddhism was looking at, and Zen meditation and things like that. I don't mean go into this kind of like hippie, insular, literary sort of lifestyle, hermit lifestyle. But I mean just look at the basic lessons. Okay, what is it to be a strong man? I don't need the media of 2023 to tell me how to be a man. I'm going to look back in time at the men whose work has lasted until now and inform the people that I genuinely look up to and aspire to. I'm going to learn the lessons of that, and then I'm going to try and live my life by those ideas as best I can, see what works, take it forwards, discard what doesn't work. The Stoics are a great place to start in terms of just formatting and ordering your life and arranging your thoughts in a way that's an effective lens to look at the world. Stoicism is a really, really good place to start. So if I was a 16-year-old kid now, I would look around me and say, what the fuck is going on? These are the guys. I feel sorry for most of my peers because they're kind of fucked up and I'm weak at the moment. They're not in good state of mind. They're not in good shape. Let me see if I can help them. But first of all, let me detach from that. Let me find people that I look up to. Let me kind of use them as mentors or try and get in their circles and just fucking go forwards. Just do what you need to do. Work on yourself. Improve your life in every meaningful way that you can think of and get ahead of the game. And then from that perspective, you're building yourself up. Then look back to your peers who are struggling and be like, how can I help these guys up as well? Because yeah, if you get stuck thinking that the people around you are doing the right thing or doing the normal thing, you're going to end up just like them. And I think that's what a lot of young guys are doing at the moment. They're just settling into this like black pill nihilistic mindset, and it's like, dude, you don't understand that you can look at life in a way that brings more joy and beauty and strength to you, and you actually get to decide how you look at it. So don't fall into those traps. Like, push forwards. You're surrounded by weaklings. Like, you've got to climb out of that bucket, get somewhere else, and then look back and see if you can help the others out.
And before we I saw some comments popping up. Before we read them, what if someone watching this is really deeply entrenched inside the black pill, right? What if someone's watching this right now and they've consumed a lot of content and they feel completely hopeless? They're looking at other people, maybe they're looking at you, and they're thinking, do you know what, mate? I'm never gonna get there. There's no chance I'm gonna be able to do that. It doesn't matter what you say. There's no hope for me. So imagine that's the sort of guy who is looking for some sort of advice. What would you say to that guy who's completely lost inside the black pill space and he doesn't really know where to turn to?
Yeah, first I would say I feel you, because I've gone through phases like phases of that as well. I've never been stuck there for extended periods of time, but I've certainly had like a couple of months in my life where I've been in just a state of hopelessness, like at the bottom of that pit, trying to kind of climb, well, not even trying to climb out, because at that stage you don't even feel like you want to get better, you just don't see the point in any of it. Right. But firstly I would say I get it, and so I can speak from experience. The second thing I would say is that you're being completely fucking self-indulgent. You're not the victim here. You cannot see yourself as a fucking victim here, because if you do, you become powerless. You are being self-indulgent. You're being lethargic. You're being lazy, and you need to fucking snap out of it. Here's how I look at it. I've gone through periods of my life after deciding that I wanted to make money, which has always been something that I just wanted to do, where I've said, you know what? Money's just not important. Money doesn't matter. Look, everyone says like money doesn't make you happy. You don't need money to be happy. But I knew that there was something dishonest about that. And what was dishonest about it is it's like the parable of the fox with sour grapes, where it says like, oh, I don't want those big grapes at the top of the tree. Those are the sour grapes. And it's like you're not willing to put in the work and the effort to prove yourself right or wrong. And so you just say those grapes are sour. You just say, oh, I'm stuck here. I was born ugly, so I can't help it, so just poor me. That, if you are being lazy by saying that, because you can decide to say, okay, well, which areas have I not improved myself to the best that I possibly can? Is my physique in as good a shape as it possibly can be? Do I have legendary people around me? Am I surrounded by heroes? Am I working like fucking hard, getting into deep work and pushing myself forwards and trying to benefit my community? And at least if I don't believe in myself enough to fix myself, can I try and look around me and see which others I can help, and at least make myself fucking useful? Because a man without use is a purposeless man. Like, if you don't feel useful, if you have no responsibility to anyone else, you're not helping your family, you don't have any kids, you don't have a vision, you haven't made any commitments to anyone, you're just floating around, then you're not going to find that motivation. You've got to fucking like sort yourself out. You've got to commit to doing something big, and then you've just got to go. You've just got to go. So yeah, those would be the two things. First, recognize that you're allowing yourself to be lazy and to be a victim by getting into that state of like, I can't help my situation. Prove yourself wrong. Go and do everything you can. Get in amazing shape. Work 6-7 hour days, and do everything you can. And then if you still don't get there, at least you can say, I did everything I could and I was right. There was no way out of this. The same if with the money, like, oh, I don't need money. Prove it. If you're smart enough to make a lot of money, go and make a lot of money, and then tell people that money isn't important, and they'll believe you because you've done it. But if you're like, if you haven't done that and you're telling people, I don't need money to be happy, people are just like, nah, you just can't do it. Right? So prove it. If you're saying you're not good enough, do everything you can to get better and prove it to yourself and to the people around you that you were never good enough. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and all those things you're on a daily basis, being useful to people, all within your control, and belief will follow action. Like, you'll find it as well. Like, when you do get,
you can do it. You can flow states. That's why often guys who just didn't know, they didn't believe they were good enough, but they actually always had some advantages, they had some things that they were a little bit at, and then they saw early success and they were like, oh shit, I can go anywhere. They get addicted because they weren't struggling so much before, but they also in no way were finding it easy, because a guy who's always found it easy to get girls wherever he goes is going to be motivated to focus his life on getting better with that and help, right? So I think you can see in a to-do list, I'm very happy with my working day. And I just make targets that I know I can win to give me that how lucky you are to be alive right now and to have all of these opportunities in front of me. I'm just going to do that. I don't need to get her number. I don't need her to like me. I just got to go and get some wins. I just got to go and do something. Take the smallest possible steps in.
Hope you've appreciated this advice. I'm going to read the little chat things that we've been getting. New pin chat, cool, got it. Do I have Instagram? It's Christian at Christian Magician. If I was as tall as Christian, have a nice jawline like him, I'd be happy too. That's nice. BR, I think that means Brazil. Come to Fliore.
I just want to address the first one.
Please do.
Yeah, it's exactly what we were talking about. The very fact that you left this guy, and this is nothing personal to you, Thomas Blackwood.
That's a great name.
The very fact, unless it could be ironic, you might be joking, fine. Those types of comments, that is exactly what we're talking about in the video. Right? You will find any excuse, but an excuse not to take action. Right? You've already said, is in this video with self-pity. What's your big project? What could a girl be attracted to? What have you got a woman behind? What have you given her that she could come along and say, I want to help this man achieve this amazing thing. I want to come along for his ride. Right? I want to come along on a journey with him. What are you doing that gives any chance of a girl being attracted to it? So that would be the that I asked from that. But
yeah, and also like as well, like I accept the height thing, fine. Everyone got a genetic hand that they're playing with, and things, but you still have to be able to maximize the gifts that you've been given. Yeah. I guarantee there'll be so many physical attributes that you have. Like, yeah, cool. I've got a nice jaw. There's people out there who've got a far better jaw than me. There's people out there who are taller than me, who've got a better body than me. There's always someone else. There's always someone else who's got more than what you have. But the way that you become compelling in this life is saying, do you know what? This is what I'm working with. Let's do the best with this. And I guarantee once you've got that momentum behind you, you start to tap into this higher frequency where you actually start to like yourself. And instead of going through life with a perceived lack of self-worth, you have self-adoration. People always talk about being confident. Being confident is simply being able to accept how you are in the current moment and doing the best with it. Like, I'll go to like social events. I won't feel confident. I won't feel in the mood to talk to people. I'll just own the state that I'm in. And yeah, I mean, for you, there's definitely things that you can be working on to actually amplify your character. Like I said, there's a video, just type in Christine Casanova looks maxing. I made a video on it. I used to like a fucking turnip, so don't worry about that. We can all be turnips together. Just become a better looking turnip and you'd be sweet. What else chat do we have?
Okay,
wobble. Where's my chats at? Why you not? Why are you not showing my chats?
Really
Top chat.
You're giving our little stand time. Giving a full giggle.
Right, but yeah, come to that place. Do you know what that place is? Florianopolis?
Florianopolis. Yeah, I don't have that much desire to go there.
Okay, we're not going there, Soz, mate. Where have the most beautiful women? Answer that for me.
Where have?
Yeah, where have the most beautiful women?
Where have? That sounds
out of all the places that you've been to, where would you say are the best looking women?
Either Belarus were very beautiful. Cali, Colombia were very beautiful. Budva, there was a lot of tourists, Russian and Ukrainian tourists, long time ago, 5 years ago. Probably those three. I would say Montenegro, Belarus, and Cali, Colombia. In terms of like purely objective physical beauty.
Is there any place that you've been to and you thought there's just no one here that I'm into?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Apart from Blackpool.
Bro, how long have you got? Let's list out the season. No, I mean that happens a lot. Like even a lot of my traveling around Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Even like traveling to just like random kind of towns in the middle of like miniaturized in the center of Brazil, you just see nothing but like fat old men
And that's what you're into.
And their female equivalents. So I'd say majority of like countryside, interior countryside, villages and outskirts is kind of like that.
Would you say Brazil is overrated? Just so we can stick on point with the question and get 10 marks from this exam. To what extent is Brazil overrated? Discuss. Is Brazil overrated? Are there better places? If you could come back here and this was the only place you'd come back to, would you keep coming back?
I don't know if it's overrated. It's difficult to know how other people rate it, but certainly if you come to Brazil, if you've been living in the UK in Scunthorpe and you've only just like got out to London a couple of times, come to Rio de Janeiro at carnival time. You are going to be it's going to blow your mind. It completely fucking blew my mind.
Would it be too overwhelming for somebody, or
yes.
Do you
in the best possible
in the best possible way?
It is completely overwhelming.
Great.
When I came here, I literally didn't know what to do. I felt incredibly self-conscious because there were just beautiful girls. I was much younger, but there were beautiful girls.
Wait, how old?
24.
Okay.
24.
24. So that's young.
Yeah, it's younger. It's younger. I mean, I was still a coach, so it's a little bit destabilizing to feel like out of sorts around women when you're sort of into the coaching game. But that's part of what we're talking about. You kind of it's about being able to accept, exactly as you are. You're a coach doesn't mean you're perfect. Doesn't mean all your interactions go well. You're still going to get rejected. You're still going to feel awkward at times. It's not like you just get to fucking Elysium, you get past the barrier, and then suddenly everything is perfect. It's just a myth. But yeah, so at that time I came here and I was just surrounded by the most beautiful girls I had ever seen in person, wearing like thong bikinis and face paint and like eyeing me up. I was like, I can't. I couldn't conceptualize it. It was like that half dream, half waking state of just like, who do I even talk to? I wanted to cold approach, but there were so many people that I could talk to that it was almost paralyzed in your tracks.
I remember that story you were saying to me though, when you were going over to chat to that girl in like traditional cold approach fashion, and some bloke just came and grabbed her by the ass, and that was that.
Yeah.
So it's like just a completely different culture, right? I guess you can make things happen here a lot quicker. And maybe as well, like, it's probably one of the best places that a quote-unquote beginner could come to, because he's not yet been polluted by any of the systems or the models. He can just come here, you can throw him into things, and he can just be reborn in the fire.
That's so true, yeah. It's such a good place to come if you just need to get over that social anxiety, if you just need to, like, literally, be reborn in the fire, just go through the fucking gauntlet and come out of it just completely different. It's an amazing place. I remember when I got back after that 6-month stint, I did Carnival for 2 weeks, then I went back to London for a few months, then I came back here for 6 months. When I got back after the 6 months, I had considered my time here a little bit, not wasted, but I certainly didn't get the most out of it, because I was still adapting to the culture, and it was still intimidating to me, and I still didn't speak the language very well, and I still hadn't made loads of friends. But when I got back to London, it was like playing the game on easy mode. At that time, it was just like so easy to go see a girl sitting at a cafe and just go talk to her. And I picked up so much of that kind of Brazilian swagger, that swagger when I got back, that everything felt so easy. So relative to the Brazilians that I was meeting and the culture and the loud social culture, when I was in Brazil, I felt like a fish out of water. But when I went back to London, I realised how much I had sort of progressed just being around that culture.
Just being here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just seeing how easy everything was in London. It was like nothing to go up and talk to people when I got home, because I'd just been in this culture so long and I had such a head start. And you're also more aware when you're here. Like, you don't walk around the streets in headphones.
Right.
Something people do in London. You just like listening to a podcast on the tube, Don't do that here. You don't do that. You're aware. People are talking to you across the street. People are in your way. There's a hole in the street. There's a fireworks happening over here. There's some person arguing with his mum in the middle of the road. Like, you can't be walking around with headphones. You need your hearing here. You navigate with your hearing.
Well, it blocks out the experience as well, doesn't it? If you're plugged into a podcast while you're walking through the streets of Rio, you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing it where I've just been leaving the house without a phone, just to force myself just to be present in the actual culture of the place that I'm at, because the phone can take away so much satisfaction of the place. You're just walking down the street, you've got some fucking random podcast in, you're not really taking it in properly.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that you made there is key, because I think sometimes a lot of guys will think, oh yeah, but if I come and do a coaching session with Sam in Brazil, what about when I get home? Like, is it just all going to feel like this pipe dream, this fairy tale that happened, but it doesn't feel like it happened? But what you're saying is you're actually able to take the momentum that you accumulated, even though you sound like you had a bit of a shit time when you first came. Even though it was shit, you were still able to see the improvement as soon as you got home. Which is basically why you would come here in the first place. It's to give you that shock to your system, and then it doesn't just feel like a fairy tale. You actually go home, and somewhere like London becomes a lot easier for you.
100%. Yeah, it definitely wasn't shit, but it was definitely challenging. And like the same with many things, right? Like, you don't know how you're improving and changing until kind of after the fact. It's the same with a lot of coaching. You know, sometimes guys are like, oh, you know, it's still hard. I've been cold approaching for 2 months and it's still hard. But it's like, okay, well, it's like looking in the mirror every day versus looking in the mirror 2 years after you started training. It's like if you look in the mirror every day, you don't see the improvements. And your reference point is yesterday. And then the next day it's the day before. When your reference point, you see it over the course of like a month plus of spending time here and doing it, you will notice the difference when you have a realistic look back at how you were before. So changes take place on a long time scale, but we have to be careful to be comparing ourselves to how we truly were rather than just thinking about how we were yesterday and ignoring that growth.
And the people who know you back home will notice the change before you do. Like, you'll get home, I guarantee it'll happen when I get back home as well, and they'll be like, oh, there's something different about you, you've changed. Like, and you won't recognize it, because like you say, if you look in the mirror every day, that's actually a great thing to do. If you don't look, I used to do it when I was like starting the gym for the first time, I just didn't look at my body for a week, and when I actually looked at myself in the mirror, I could actually notice the changes. But if you're seeing your body every day, you're not. But yeah, the people who you care about, the people that you live with, people who know you, they will definitely notice the change before you do, and then they'll give it back to you in feedback, and then you've got positive momentum behind you, and it's nice. Good, nice one. Let's get back to this little chat thing, and then we're gonna go out onto the beach, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Right, done that one. Do I have Instagram? Yeah, I've said that. It's at Christy Magician. You guys are the best. Honest Dips, day game for a lifestyle. What's up, Kings? And that's all the comments. Nice one, cool. That's what you like.
What's up, Kings?
That's the best comment to leave on. Yeah, we're gonna go out. What are we gonna do at the beach?
We're gonna go talk to some girls, and we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that we're talking about here. And hopefully have some.
Oh, that was it. That's the final thing that I wanted to ask you. All right, when you're on your dates with your girls, or when you're meeting girls who you want to have your little 2-month relationships with, do you tell them what you do for a job?
Yes.
Do you show them the videos?
Not unless they are. It's all contextual, right? I wouldn't just tell them like, by the way, I thought you should know, like, I'm not a pickup artist. I'm like a dating coach, but it's easily confused.
Copy of the game falls out your bag.
Yeah. So it's never like that, right? I just let that come up in conversation. Like, oh, what do you do? I work as a coach, have an online coaching business.
Right.
Oh, what do you coach? Like social skills, relationships, dating. Oh, dating, that's so interesting. Do you help guys or girls? Normally guys, but I do have some female clients as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so it's like that, right? It's just a normal thing. And I know we're doing what we're doing. We're doing a good job. We're doing something that's important for a lot of guys, that we genuinely see the progress of the guys we work with. In every case, someone's improving off the back of coaching. Like, I've never seen a client get worse after coaching. I've only seen them improve. And so I've got nothing to hide. Now, if they start watching videos and say, I'm not sure about the infields, I'll say, fair enough. Like, I'm not completely sure about them either. Like, what's your thoughts on them? Right, because we want to show guys how to go and talk to girls. But I'll ask her, I'll be like, what do you think? I'm actually interested. Like, I do it with my sister all the time. She tells me if she thinks I've got a video wrong, or if I wasn't good enough, if I was a bit like of a dick in a video or something like that. She'll just tell me. I'm like, damn, I need to hear that. So I just I think it all depends on delivery. Like, again, it's not about what you say. What you say makes literally zero impact. If you say something fucking stupid, then it's going to be very hard to say it in a way that's cool or that works. But besides that, it's only about how you show up. It doesn't matter what opening line you use. Whether you say, hi, my Sam, this is my pleasure. You go up and you say, excuse me, your eyes are water. So don't worry about what you're saying. Just show up. No doing is legit. And that your intention is pure and is true and is good, and if she doesn't, you don't want her, so fuck it off, don't worry about it.
And where can people find you if they want to contact, connect, and liaise with you? My
YouTube channel is called Fluid Social. The email address is there. All of my videos have a call booking link if you want to book a free call. And that's basically how the majority of people find me. I'm also on TikTok as well, doing short form content.
Yeah, you're famous on there, are you?
Very much not famous. But
it's famous, man. It's fucking famous. Like, I walk around with him on these fucking beaches, and they're just fucking, they're gawking, and it's crazy.
Thanks the way we
Oh, mate, Jesus Christ, it's the next level. When you come on the streets of Brazil with him, you're in fucking capable hands. That's all you need. You talk about the best open, and TikTok famous usually plays out quite well. Any other ways that people can connect with you? Is that everything?
No, that's all of the relevant ways.
Yeah.
Just drop me an email or book a call, all on the YouTube channel, all in the videos and the descriptions on the About page. Just find me there. And yeah, I'm really happy to do that. I just want to help guys out as much as I can for free. So book free shit with me, and then I'll help you.
Yeah, and final thing, if there's a guy watching this, he's watched the whole thing, he really likes you, but he's on the fence, he's thinking, is this really right for me? Do I really need a coach? I feel a little bit weird about getting a coach. Like, surely this is like an area in my life where I should just know. Like, what would you say to that fella? He's watching this, he wants to work with you, but he's scared to do so. Like
the fox with sour grapes, prove it. Call me, see how it is. If you don't like me, that's completely fine.
Right.
You probably will. Most people do.
Yeah, it's free. You got nothing to lose, have you? So just book in a fucking call with him.
You think I'm a wally, and that's okay. It's free.
But yeah, he's TikTok famous, so you might be able to get famous via, association. Right, nice one. Wait, are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yeah, I am.
Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys.
Bye.